Welcome back to the MBM Vault live from the Media Hub on riotradio.ca. We're your hosts, Nicholas Carlo.
I'm Kim Shragobin, and this show is all about music, local talent, industry news, and most importantly, fun.
Before we begin, we have a special announcement. We recently collaborated with the Biltmore Theater to give away 2 tickets to the Brothers Wild, who played last night, and would like to thank them once again for their generosity.
Today we'll be interviewing a second-year MBM student, also a manager of the student-run enterprise, Legacy Branding. Please welcome Anna Melnyk. How are you?
Hello, thank you so much. I'm good, and you?
We're doing good. It's a really nice day today, huh?
Yeah, I mean, it's a little chilly, but...
Little chilly, but summer's coming, spring. So excited.
Finally. February's been so cold.
Of course. Well, I enjoyed my walk here. So, you came here from Ukraine.
Right.
Yes. So do you want to tell us a little bit more about how that came to be? Like why you chose Canada, per se?
Okay, so first of all, I've been to Canada before, even I finally moved here 2.5 years ago, and I really loved it. I was an exchange student as a summer school, so it was really great. And when I had to choose college, I was kind of, I was like, oh, Canada is definitely a good option considering everything, there's good education here, and also I've been here, so I know how things go. And yeah, I feel like it was also one of those colleges that had this program specifically, music business one, so yeah.
Awesome. How is it adapting from Ukrainian kind of life to Canadian, and did you find any super big differences in that?
Yeah, definitely. I would say it was kind of hard at the beginning to adapt to everything, especially food is really different here, and I don't know, just generally this country is kind of made for people who have cars, and I don't know how to drive, so it's kind of hard to get somewhere, and you need to take a bus or I don't know, it's a little bit uncomfortable, but I feel like I only got kind of adapted fully to Canada maybe a few months ago. Probably because I've met you guys, my classmates, friends. So yeah, it definitely helped me.
Well, you just talked about food. What would you say your most guilty Canadian food pleasure is so far, other than Tim Hortons? Because I see you at Tim Hortons a lot.
Wow. Okay. So
there's poutine.
I don't like that, definitely. I
Me
tried
neither.
it once. Yeah, I don't like that.
Would you say it's Tim Hortons?
I would say Tim Hortons. Yeah, probably Tim Hortons.
Is it really guilty though?
I feel like you're just kind of forced to indulge in it whether you want to or not.
Yeah, it's kind of
everywhere you look.
everywhere. It's kind of everywhere, so you're supposed to like it.
100%.
Did you have any, were you able to speak, any English before you came here? How did that help at all?
Yeah, I would say, I was able to speak English. I started learning it at, 6, but probably, fully at, 12. And then I obviously had to pass some exams to even get into college. So, yeah, I would say.
I know a lot of European countries, they're mandatory, you have to be able to learn English. All the non-English speaking European countries?
I would say that, right now in schools, it's better with this. Because, I even know some people right now who don't know English at all, in Ukraine, or for example, in Poland. And, they live a full life. They don't really care about that because they don't have to use it, in their everyday life. But I would say it's definitely easier when you learn, when you know English, and yeah.
Awesome.
It makes sense. Now, why did you choose this program specifically?
So I applied to 3 different colleges, and it was the only one with music business program. So yeah, I just wanted to study specifically a music business program, not just business or marketing. And
awesome.
Yeah, I just really like also location, because it's, it's not because of its Oshawa, it's because it's closer to Toronto, and everything is in Toronto.
Well, for me, growing up in Ajax, which is 20 minutes away from here, I thought it was always so crazy how many international students we have, because I've always wondered how Durham looks from an outside perspective, because for me it's always just been Durham College, but we've had so many people in our program specifically come in, and it's so interesting, because it's for me this is the only option I thought of, but for everyone else they have to do extensive research to even figure out this was a school, which I think is interesting.
Yeah, I would say people mostly base, their decision on, the program itself,
Yeah.
not even like location. Because like I'm sure if I, found like somewhere in Ontario as a music business
Yeah.
program, maybe
100%.
I would be there.
Yeah.
But it was the only one, so I was just like, yeah, that's his choice. And like the fact that Toronto is close is definitely a good benefit.
Yeah, you're in Toronto more than you're in Oshawa, I feel. We'll be talking one
Yeah.
moment, you're here, an hour later you're just downtown at like a cafe or something.
Yeah, probably. That's
But with that, you've been in this program for 2 years now, and you're doing third year.
yes.
But have you had any standout memories so far, like accomplishments that like speak to you, whether it be like going from just being in Legacy to co-managing Legacy, like anything?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, this program is probably one of the best things that's happened to me. Like, I don't know, it's really surreal to actually study what you like. Because,
Honestly.
like, I never thought that I'd be able to study music business, and I was always kind of, like, really passionate about this industry, but I'm also not a musician. So I was kind of, curious, how can I,
Yeah.
how I would be able to get into this industry. Like, I was
I
thinking
was the
about being,
exact
like,
same
yeah,
way.
like,
You
I
didn't
was
realize
thinking-
how many
yeah.
careers there were until you did your first semester. You're like, whoa.
Yeah, you're like, wow, you can actually,
Yeah, 'cause
get
with-
money for that.
With my parents, at least, they're kind of like skeptic, like, oh, you want to be an artist? Like, that's like what music is. I was like, no, there's like a whole nother part of it that you've
Yeah.
never heard of.
Yeah, people just don't think about the business part of it. They don't think
Exactly.
there's like so many people like backstage helping with that.
Did you feel the same way, Nick? That like that you're kind of learning that right now there's
Kind
a lot
of.
more to it.
There is a bit more. I knew about it, that
Yeah.
it existed in high school. I just didn't know the details. Now, you said that you weren't like a musician when you grew up. What is your music background before this program?
Okay, yeah, so I was definitely not a musician. I always wanted, to learn how to actually play piano and everything, but, I was more into sports, and I would say my parents made me more into, sports, so
Yeah.
I just didn't have time for that, although I always wanted to. I started taking some like guitar lessons when I was maybe like 14, and I used to sing at some like school events when I was like 8.
Aw.
But it never went like anywhere like further after that. Although like I always wanted to, and yeah, I feel like that's my whole like music background. Like I grew up with like my dad would always show me some new music. My granddad, he was like obsessed with collecting vinyls and everything. So that definitely kind of like influenced my love for music.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, out of all the like, people in the program, like we don't have like a really big program. Like both years is what, like 80 people,
Give or take.
I'd say,
yeah.
around give or take 80 people, and about half of them, I would say, like don't really play any instruments at all,
No.
or majority of them like have producer
We only
experience.
have, like,
mainly.
Maybe 5 artists in our block.
And yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
Now, were there any like main surprises when you came to this program? Like any first thoughts? Like anything that the first thing that stuck out to you that you're like, this is not what I was expecting.
In a good way. Yeah.
Either
it can
or.
Okay. I would say I obviously didn't know that we would have this like radio station. That's like amazing. Like
Yeah.
obviously I was doing some research, but not that deep of the research. I was just doing like generally about the program, but
Yeah.
I wasn't like interested
They don't
in
really
radio
talk
specifically.
about Riot too much.
Yeah,
they just say
don't
you
really.
learn about radio promotions, which we
Yeah,
haven't
so I was
really.
surprised, and like definitely the fact that we have a studio.
Yeah.
So that was really like
I
interesting.
also feel like we just get access to so much as like an arts program because we fit in that category.
Yeah.
So like we get opportunities to collab with other programs in ways
Mhm.
that others might not.
Yeah, I was also surprised by definitely like, just generally courses that we, study here, like even tour management. Like when you think about it, you're like, how can I study that? You
Yeah.
just feel like those people just like, I don't know, you just imagine those like tough guys that just like going on tour and they're like helping with those like, those like equipment and everything. But
Yeah.
you don't really think like, oh, I actually need to know
Like
how
logistics.
to like logistics and all
Yeah.
that stuff. So
Which
yeah.
isn't easy,
Which isn't easy.
but it's
yeah.
also really interesting to just learn
Or
about.
like even like some other parts of like music industry, like music supervision.
Yeah.
Like I didn't really think about that. Like
Yeah.
I would always find out like about those like small artists, some like new songs from like Netflix, Amazon Prime shows.
yeah.
But I didn't know that there's actually a person who's, getting paid for that. Like
Yeah. With the program so far, has there been classes that kind of have pushed you to a certain career? Like, oh, I think I actually want to do this.
So definitely music marketing.
Yeah.
We had it this like first semester of second year.
Yeah.
I would say it's something that
You're good
I
at.
really love,
Yeah.
but I'm also scared of it at some like point because like it's such a like huge industry and such a, like a
Yeah.
huge part of the industry. So you actually need to be like really good at that, and
For
that
sure.
scares me. But at the same time, I'm really interested in that.
Yeah.
But also like I don't know. I'm also thinking about maybe going into music supervision in the future.
Yeah.
But I definitely want to start with like marketing for some like indie labels.
Did you have any experience in marketing before you started this program at all? Or is it something you learned in the program?
I don't think I didn't have
Yeah.
any experience. Like I would
Well,
just
you're pretty good at it.
thank you. I was just like interested in like social media,
Yeah.
and that's it. But like I wasn't doing like any promotion. So
Well,
That may be the most important aspect of marketing now. It's like, ever since COVID, it's like 90% of it is social media.
yeah.
Yeah, for
So
sure.
that makes sense.
So I would just say sometimes it helps when you're like chronically online. It can definitely help in this
Chronically
industry.
online.
Yeah.
Well, that was awesome. Thanks so much. Coming up after the music break, we'll be talking more with Anna about legacy branding.
Don't forget that you can follow the Media Hub on social media at DCSA Media Hub. You can also follow us at MBM Vault on Twitter and Instagram and at the MBM Vault on TikTok.
We're going to play some music that Anna chose. Here's Bleed by Malcolm Todd and Omar Apollo and Champagne Coast by Orange Blood, live from the Media Hub on riotradio.ca.
Welcome back to the MBM Vault. We're your hosts, Nicholas Carlo,
And I'm Kim.
and we'll be back with Anna, to discuss her time in Legacy and her time in the MBM program. So, what are two big similarities and differences? First of all, to go back on where your upbringing is, what are two similarities and two big differences that you've noticed between Canada and Ukraine, when it comes to the music industry?
Okay, so when it comes to music industry, I would say we also have a lot of, artists who are like mostly independent, and they rely heavily on social media for promotion. So, yeah, definitely it's like some small indie labels. And I would say we're also big on festivals, like especially, I would say like a few years ago, we had like some huge festivals in like our capital city, Kyiv, and I never went to one because I was like, my parents considered me to be like, still like a kid, and they were worried for me. But no, our festivals are amazing, and yeah, like we just love, singing, we love drinking sometimes. So
I mean, I can understand why your parents would be protective about that, because from what I've heard about some of the stuff that goes down at festivals, it's like, yeah, if you're not like at least 20, it's probably not the safest thing to be doing.
probably.
Like, I mean, all the history lessons that we got from like music history from Greg, it's like name some sort of like illegal substance, it's probably down there.
Yeah,
It's probably there, and there's tons of people. Like, I could not imagine like that much crowding and like how like the energy. Like, the energy would be nice, but I feel like my energy would be drained pretty quickly.
Yeah, this is definitely too much for kids. But in terms of differences, also like for the music industry, there's definitely more opportunities here in Canada currently. Also, like our small labels are like growing every day, and we have like amazing artists. Like genuinely, they're like so talented. Like I just, I always try to kind of like stay on top of that, like trying to like research what like are like some new Ukrainian artists, and like trying to like follow them, support them. So and the other difference, I'd say, yeah, like definitely like there's like a lot of huge labels here, and we don't have them. And I would say there's more opportunities for like if you show up on like a certain show here, you'd probably get recognized more. And in Ukraine, not really. Like I would say like TikTok right now, and like even Twitter, it helps you even more than television.
Yeah, makes sense. Like, is there not as many people in the music industry in Ukraine?
No, I would say like most people are like actually, not most people, but like a lot of people are in the music industry. It's just most of them, they don't have education like this in terms of like, if we're talking about videographers or like audio engineers, they do have some education. But like in Ukraine, we don't have programs like music business program. So it's kind of like, I definitely like wouldn't be able to learn something like this like currently in Ukraine.
Yeah.
So they just people work in the industry. It's just like how they get into that. It's a question. It's just like probably mostly like someone who's a singer, or like you're their, I don't know, like a friend, or like I don't know, sometimes even parents, and you become like their manager.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much it.
So you would say it's like easier to make business connections here?
I would say there's just more opportunities for that, and even like us, we're like students in the music like business program, so we can actually get some educations from like professionals in the industry, and I would say we're just more educated on some topics.
Yeah, I mean, that makes total sense. Now, give us some info on what the MBM yearbook is looking like right now.
Okay, so for the yearbook, we're collaborating with Flashback. They are doing photography. They took photos like during like other events that we had so far this year, and they're taking some like headshots, or like group pictures of like other enterprises in the studio. And I would say like we're inspired by Spotify Wrapped theme. So we really want to make it, like bright. We want to make some like different categories, or like something like someone who's most likely to like fall asleep at the, metal show, like someone who's most likely to win a Grammy, stuff like that.
We've been talking about legacy for a little bit. Do you want to kind of give us an overview on what legacy branding is?
Yeah, so legacy branding is, so like as a part of our SEND class, Music Business Practicum class, we have different enterprises, and legacy branding is a branding and marketing enterprise. So we have two departments. We have marketing department, and we have branding department. So branding department, we mostly cover, like we create logos, we create posters, we do EPKs. So yeah, mostly just graphic design. And for our marketing, we can do content consultations, strategies for show promotion, and yeah, we mostly deal with that and help other enterprises if they have, any inquiries.
Now, more on the yearbook stuff, because when I was in my grade 12 year of high school, I worked on my yearbook as well. How much is like a high school yearbook different from like a college yearbook? Like, from what it sounds like, it sounds way different. Like, I don't know if there's pages with all the panels of like how like a picture day would go, where you have like pictures of everybody. Like, what would the contents include, like comparing it to like a high school yearbook?
I would say I'm not really sure how yearbooks look here in Canada specifically, but if comparing to Ukraine, I would say that yearbook would look, completely different from something that I had in high school. So I was like, we didn't have those like categories like who's most likely to do something, or like here's like some highlights from our events. We didn't have that stuff. And like in our yearbook, we're actually gonna have that. And I would say we're just like kind of more free in expressing ourselves. Like we don't have any, we don't have like any like specific instructions like from a professor saying that like, oh, yearbook should look specifically like this, or design should be like, there should be like this color palette.
Yeah.
And I would say, yeah, we're more able to express ourselves, and we'll definitely take some, advices like from like some suggestions from other students. What do they want to see in the yearbook? And yeah.
So it sounds pretty somewhat similar to what like a high school, like
Here,
in Canada,
yeah,
Canadian high school yearbook would be. Because I know when I worked on it, we had about the same thing. There would be a couple of those, like who's most likely to, or who's going to get a Grammy or stuff like that, but mainly just the themes, because the theme that I worked on, the theme was music. So most of it, like the theme would be based on an album cover, and then we would have QR codes that would link to what album it's supposed to be. So it's sounding like it's going to be pretty similar.
Yeah, probably it's the exact same as yours. We
Yeah.
actually stole ideas from you, sorry.
Yeah, no worries.
So you've been in legacy for almost 2 years?
Yes.
Or 2 years? Almost 2 years?
Yep.
How do you think your journey has... how has your journey been?
Yeah, I started in, I would say it was October 2023.
Yeah.
I started as a social media manager, but I was also doing some designs, like for like our social media, but also I would create like a few posters.
You made a few templates for the vault last year.
Yeah, I did. So yeah. And I don't know, like for a year I was social media manager and designer, and then at the end of the year I was kind of like, oh, I like that stuff.
Yeah.
But then when people started talking about being managers and everything, I'm not gonna lie, I wasn't sure if I would be able to handle that pressure.
I felt
And
the
I
same way.
thought that it would be, you know, it is hard sometimes,
It
but I
is.
thought it would be just kind of impossible to be a manager, to do all that, to trying to, you know, like have some social life, but also like, you know, be good at school.
Yeah.
And you actually have to be some sort of a mentor for the first year
You're
students.
also the type of person that also loves perfection, which I imagine makes it harder.
Yeah, sometimes you kind of go insane
Yeah.
a little bit. Yeah, so like our previous manager, like Kelsey, she was the one that suggested that, Anna, if you'd like to co-manage with like the other person, it would be lovely. So
Yeah.
currently I'm co-manager with Ash.
Yeah.
She's responsible for branding department, and I'm responsible for marketing. And it definitely makes it easier when you know, have someone else
Yeah.
helping you. I know that like you'll understand that.
Yeah.
I would say it's easier when you have another manager
Yeah.
to help you, because there's so much stuff to cover. It's
Yeah.
communication with students, communication with your
And
clients.
just keeping track of things is so much easier
Yeah.
just having a second opinion on things.
Yeah, totally.
Now, as someone, because I'm also interested in when I hit second year to become a manager of this thing, what are like two most important things to just know about being a manager of one of these enterprises?
I would say that you definitely need to be really good at communication with other people, because you know, people will get mad at you.
Mm.
That's for sure. Especially
Yeah.
like first year students, they like, you know, they wouldn't like your feedback or something. So you definitely kind of should be good at communication. You should be, you know, like kind, friendly,
Yeah.
but you're also not supposed to, you know, go easy on people just because, you know, you're like even friends, or because like you know each other really well. No, you still need to kind of be professional, but I
Yeah.
would say don't get in your head too much, because sometimes you'll just start overthinking, being like, oh, we're probably not doing enough, we should do this and that. But you also need to consider that, you know, everyone here mostly focused on their own stuff, on their like own career, or like they have like, you know, other work outside of school. So yeah, just don't be hard on yourself, and, you know, try to work on communication with people who you work with, because
Yeah.
it's really important.
Like knowing like when to be authoritative and say like, hey, what you're doing here is like I would do something else instead, but just not being too harsh, or like
Yeah.
being there like, oh, I'll just let it slide. Like you don't want
Yeah,
to do
yeah.
that, because then that's when it makes mistakes. And then that reflects badly on the enterprise.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
that makes total sense. Now, what are some things that Legacy in general has been up to this year?
Okay, so this year so far we made some posters for the breakthrough events. That's the other enterprise that just do events here, like in the Durham region, specifically in Oshawa. Like currently we're working on yearbook. We've made a bunch of logos for, you know, some artists in this program, or like even, you know, we're even open to working with some people like outside of our program. We helped with some social media templates for other enterprises. Like we made some for MBM Vault, we made some for Free Mind Operations, and
Working with everybody.
yeah, we're technically working with everybody.
Yeah.
Like we're the one holding this, you know, together. So
You're like when you're the main graphic design enterprise, it's like everyone who needs stuff like that, it's just like, hey, make me this, make me this, make me that. It's like,
yeah.
I have a fun question before we end the segment. What are you listening to right now in terms of music, and just what type of music do you like generally?
Okay, I would say I listen to a lot of just some like indie stuff.
Yeah.
Like,
Do you have
and-
any fun concerts coming up soon that I definitely don't know about?
Okay, I'm going to the Role Model show. You know Role Model?
Tucker, right?
Tucker.
Same person.
Yeah.
I
It's
learned
gonna
that
be
last
this
week.
like next Wednesday, and I'm super excited.
Yeah. So you'd say that since coming here, like concerts are something that are a lot more accessible.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Like I would say Toronto, like it's been one of the, you know,
Yeah.
biggest markets in North America. Yeah.
I remember when we first started being friends last summer, we weren't as close as we are now, and you would be at a concert like every day. Or
Not
if-
every
or
day, but there was
downtown
time
doing something.
in August where I would go to a lot of
Yeah.
concerts for sure. But I mean, there's like it's really accessible here, and if you
Yeah.
have like opportunity to go there, and like some tickets you can even find them for like a really good price. So
Yeah.
why not?
Were there any concerts from this year that you tried to get, but you just like it's sold out?
I wouldn't say it's just sold out, but it
Or
was kind
too
of like
expensive or whatever.
I mean, I wanted to see Sabrina Carpenter.
Yeah.
I wasn't able to because
Crazy.
I don't know, like prices were crazy,
Yeah.
and I would say overwhelmed with other stuff. It was also like September, beginning of the year, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would say I went to the most concerts that I wanted to, like
Yeah. All the ones that you wanted to.
yeah,
At least. Yeah.
like 21 Pilots, Taylor Swift, yeah.
Now, and you don't have parents to tell you not to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's definitely
I always
nice.
get so jealous. I'm like, Anna gets to do whatever she wants.
I would say my mom even encourages me going to the shows, so
Yeah.
that's nice.
Took my parents a while to get used to it because they were like, you want to work in the music industry? I was like, yeah, that consists of being out till 2 or 3 a.m. They're like,
Yeah.
They didn't like that at first, but.
I've still never been to a concert before yet, so I would still need to get adjusted to
really?
that. I've never been to one.
Oshawa
No.
Oh
Music
my
Week.
god.
That would be the first one.
Yep.
I'll be the first one. Now, coming up after the music break, we'll be back with Anna to discuss her future and some final words of wisdom.
Don't forget that you can follow the Media Hub on social media at the DCSA Media Hub. You can also follow us at the MBM Vault on Twitter and Instagram at the MBM Vault and at the MBM Vault on TikTok.
We're going to play some music. Here's Bout It by JMSN, live from the Media Hub on riotradio.ca. Welcome back to the MBM Vault. We're your hosts, Nicholas Carlo.
And I'm Kim. We're back again with Anna to talk with her a bit more.
More about the future and more about her final goals in the music industry. So what are some more about MBM before we go on to like the main future? What are some future MBM merch designs with legacy that you can share with us if there is any upcoming?
Yeah, I wanted to like clarify something. So we specifically don't do designs for the merch. Like we work with a merchandise store here on campus. So it's like Durham College design, Durham College colors. But I hope that in the future somehow we can collaborate with them, or maybe we can do some, like prints. So it would be not just like, MBM like sweatshirts. It's gonna be like an actual like
Logo?
shirt with, some printed logo.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's definitely, I hope that the next managers, they'll be working on that.
Yeah.
I'll like for sure will share this idea with them. But yeah, so far we just have like a regular music business merch. Again, we do it
Like
with
the basic school
the
stuff.
basic one.
Yeah.
Yeah, we like have them in green and black color, and it actually looks really nice.
Yeah, I really do like
It does look. I regret not getting one.
You can still order.
I could still order.
You
Okay,
guys can
I'm
Yeah,
doing
if
that.
we
Well,
get enough
order.
people, if we get like at least 12 people, yeah, for sure.
At least
Everyone
12?
listening,
We have 6 now.
Go
so-
get your
Okay.
hoodie.
Yeah, just like contact Legacy Brandon email.
Yeah.
legacy.brandon@gmail.
That's where your self promo comes in.
Yep.
So that's one thing you want for the future of Legacy. Is there anything you want to do before the semester's over, or I'm assuming you'll be a mentor, so pass on next year?
Okay, so yeah, definitely we need to find, like a new manager, a new mentor for Legacy Brandon. So we'll be doing interviews, if I'm not mistaken, March 21st, somewhere like around that time. Yeah, and I would say what I hope for the future of Legacy Brandon, I really hope that we'll get more into like marketing aspect, because like this year mostly we would do just like we would work like in our Brandon department. Like I would even kind of like help people with some like their design requests, and I wish there were more marketing requests. Like so like hopefully in the future people would ask Legacy, hey, can you please like do this like content consultations for our social media, or can we do something for our like show promo? So I hope that in the future they'll get more into that. And like hopefully we'll just get more and more projects in the future, like creating more shows, more posters for the shows of Breakthrough, or just generally the artists that are on like our labels, that we can work more closely with them.
For sure, yeah.
Yeah. Now, where do you plan on going after your program is done? After you take the third year, do you have any plans of what you're doing afterwards?
So during the third year, during the second semester, we have like our co-op, like internship. So I really hope to get into, again, like music marketing, as I mentioned, but I mean, I would love to start just like at some small company, like small like indie label.
And work your way
Just
up.
yeah, just like starting working with like small artists. I'm totally like fine with that. So I really want to start doing that, and then maybe like in a couple of years when I'll get enough experience in the music marketing, I also want to go into music supervision, because like again, as I mentioned, like I always find music from some like random like shows, not even like the one on Netflix, but like on other like smaller platforms.
Yeah.
So yeah, the goal is pretty much work on that, and hopefully it will all work out.
Would you want to work at any of like the major 3 labels?
Yeah, obviously. Like when I said that, like I wanted to start in like smaller, like labels. That's kind of just like more realistic.
Yeah.
I would say that like I don't have any like experience, like proper experience in the industry. Like we have our own industry here, but like still, like definitely in the future it would be lovely to work for like I don't know, Sony or like
for
Universal.
sure. One of the 4 major labels.
Like definitely.
Yeah.
That would be really nice.
Talking about major labels and stuff like that, have you gone to any like major networking events where you've met someone influential, or like is there someone influential that you're hoping to meet?
So during like last summer, I volunteered for a couple of festivals like Canadian Music Week, which is now Departure, or NXNE, North by Northeast, Toronto Jazz Festival. Then in September we had Convergence Festival here in Oshawa. So it definitely helped me to meet new people. I wouldn't say that like I really got their contact information, because like some of them like I knew before, like I saw their like Instagram pages and I was kind of a fan.
Yep.
Like specifically at the Canadian Music Week, I met one of the radio hosts. I think she worked for iHeartRadio, Virgin Radio, and right now she works for eTalk.
Oh,
I think
nice.
so. Yeah. So her name is Shannon Burns. Yeah, I had like a lovely chat with her. I just saw that she'll be working at one of the like panels. So yeah, I just came up to her, talked to her, take a picture with her, and yeah, she like I told her a little bit about this program. I don't think she even like heard about this program. So that
Awesome.
was nice, and yeah, maybe in the
Interesting.
future I'll be able to work with her.
Well, before we get to the final question, which Nick will ask you, what are artists you hope release some albums this year, just as like a fun?
Oh. I think Harry Styles hasn't released something in a long time, so hopefully an album from him. Frank Ocean, I mean, let's hope.
We're all waiting.
We're all waiting.
In 9 years.
Or a concert or something that we can go to.
Something. I
An
mean, yeah, he
Instagram
performed
post.
at like Coachella,
He was a little
Yeah.
late, but yeah.
but yeah, let's
Take
hope
what we
so.
can get.
There was a lot of artists who dropped last year, so it'd be.
Yeah.
It's more of like who's gonna drop this year that didn't drop last
But so
year.
Yeah.
many artists dropped, it makes it so obvious for the ones who didn't.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like Frank Ocean being
Yeah.
one of them. I know that Playboy Cardi was supposed to drop today.
I think he
and then
did. He did.
He did? Oh,
I'm
because
fairly certain he did.
I woke up, went on
Yeah.
Twitter, and everyone was in outrage. So
Oh, no.
from what it
Maybe
looked
he
like,
did
I don't
not.
think he did, which in his fashion is not surprising in the slightest. But it's definitely not surprising. Now, before we head off, do you have any final words of wisdom for the audience?
Anything you've
Okay.
learned, anything someone's told you and it's stuck with you.
It's like specifically for people in the music industry, or just like generally
Sure.
stuff.
Yeah, this is a music podcast.
I would say if you have an opportunity, just like
Don't be
come
afraid.
here, come to like Durham College.
Yeah.
I would say this program really helps you to figure out what you actually want to do in this industry, because you get so many, interesting courses. You work like with all those like professors who had an actual like experience in this industry, and it just helps you to figure out what you actually want to do. And yeah, believe in yourself,
That's awesome.
drink water.
Drink water. Yep.
Yep.
5 big sips. Well, that's the end of the episode for today. Thank you for watching.
Thank you to Anna for joining us today. You can find her on Instagram at @itsannem. You can follow the Media Hub on social media at DCSA Media Hub. You can also follow us at MBM Vault on Twitter and Instagram, and at the MBM Vault on TikTok.
That's all for this week's episode. Now let's listen to Anna's last song, which is Assumptions by Sam Gellaitry? Yeah, okay. Playing us out live from the Media Hub on riotradio.ca.
you.